Hello and welcome to today's Battletech review. Today we're looking at another Omnimech from clan Jade Falcon, the Night Gear, which is a second wave invasion Battletech. Not second wave as in after the Battle of Tukayid, but after first wave, which was rather destructive, with the second wave, which was a little bit more controlled. This is one of the mechs clan Jade Falcon developed in the meantime to be able to meet with inner sphere threats a little bit better than maybe some of the mechs that they had before. So let's get into it. It is a well-known fact that no plans survive contact with the enemy, especially when your intel comes from a group of people who actually don't want you to properly invade whatever you're attacking. The Wolf Dragoon scouting mission didn't quite go as most of the clans would have wanted, at least the Crusader clans. Probably would have wanted the Wolf Dragoon to infiltrate, cause issues, and bring back as much intel as possible. What actually happened was that the Wolf Dragoon went native. Since they were backed by the Warden clans, well, they were making sure that the Inner Sphere was better prepared to fight the clans than they should have been. One thing, however, is that most clans were using Omnimechs at the time, and the setups that those machines had were rather fantastic for the things the clans were wanting them to do, which was generally fight in trials and very short fights. They were not meant to be used in sloggy warfare that is common in the Inner Sphere, or have extended supply lines which were required to keep things going and running. A lot of those early Omnimechs were very, very good, and were very, very good at taking planets very, very quickly, but holding them and then getting into fights which would take a far longer time on later planets when the Inner Sphere actually understood what was going on was starting to be difficult. Ilkhan Leo Showers, who was the Ilkhan at the start of the clan invasion, died due to rapid decompression of his warship when a aerospace fighter hit the deck and kind of blew the whole thing. The clans retreated, they elected a new Ilkhan, but a lot of clan engineers and scientists at that period of time started building new machines and designing new equipment which would be better fit for their fight against the sphere, and this included the Night Gear. The 75-ton Omnimech of choice at the time was the Mad Cat Timberwolf, which everyone really wanted in the Inner Sphere, in the periphery, pirate states, the clans, everybody really wanted it. The thing is, the Wolves were the eternal rival of clan Jade Falcon. They kind of still are, but now they're working together. Things get complicated. But they wanted their own design in that weight class, and they commissioned the design of the Night Gear after gathering all that intel that they could from first-hand experience. The machine was built to be also a technology test bed for all sorts of things, including laser heat sinks, which never really went anywhere, but it's not a bad idea. But the end model was built using reliable, standard clan technology rather than the odd specialty designs that they were thinking at first. So our base Night Gear is 75 ton, but it's not the fastest machine in the clan arsenal, using a standard JFXL 300. Well, it's basically a VLAR, but that's what happens with a lot of clan technology, which gives it a speed of 64 kilometers per hour, which is equivalent to most Inner Sphere heavy mech, especially in that weight range. To compensate for its mobility, you add 4 jump jets, giving you a jump range of about 120 meters. I'm never a fan of hard mounting jump jets on a battle mech. In this case, it's really probably, if you wanted to sell it to whoever was going to buy it, you had to say, like, yeah, it's slower than a Mad Cat, but it can jump, so it's actually more mobile. I understand that. You've got an endosteel skeleton, like most clan Omnimechs, and it's covered, 11.5 tons of the good ferrofibrous alloy, like most Omnimechs, once again. And it's more than comparable to an Inner Sphere heavy mech in the same weight class. It's tougher than a lot of early Omnimechs in the invasion as well, because clan Jade Falcon realized what was going on when they were getting into fights. The engine fits 12 double heat sinks. It's the maximum you're able to fit into a 300 engine, but that leaves you with 38 tons of pond space, which can be used in various configuration, which is actually about 10.5 tons more than what you get on that Timberwolf. The Clan Jade Falcon really likes setting up the Night Gear as a big gun mech hunter. There's a reason for that, as big guns were actually one of the places where the clans had a very big advantage compared to the Inner Sphere, especially in terms of ERPPCs, the weight of the Gauss rifle, ultra auto cannons being available while the Inner Sphere didn't have access to them. So when you look at your prime Night Gear, it goes into directly that particular category, with a pair of ERPPCs in the left arm, an Ultra AC-10 on the right arm. So you've got a massive amount of punch right there. And even when something gets close by, you get 3 medium pulse lasers, which are highly accurate, deal more damage, have equivalent or more range to most Inner Sphere weapons. Everything on there is meant to be superior to Inner Sphere standards. In order to keep the mech fairly cool, you get 8 extra double heat sinks for a total of 20, which is enough to compensate for those 2 ERPPCs and ultra auto cannons shooting steadily. Configuration A, well, it's our Siege Breaker using an Ultra AC-20 and 2 Streak 6-tube SRMs, which are devastating against most form of armor. The energy weapon loadout of the version has a large pulse laser and 3 medium pulse lasers in the opposite arm to the autocannon. You get 16 double heat sinks to try to keep you cool. An Ultra AC-20 does run rather hot if you're shooting it at max rate of fire, but it works fairly well. Configuration B is a little bit silly. You've got a pair of Gauss rifle and a pair of LB2X autocannons. You get 24 reloads on the Gauss and 45 shots of the LB2X, but really, honestly, just take out those LB2Xs, put ER large lasers in, a few more heat sinks, more Gauss shots. LB2Xs are really not that fancy. ER large lasers, yeah, they don't have the same kind of range, but are going to be effective far longer. That might just be me, of course. The 2 later configuration are also range support unit. Configuration C is also pretty dumb, using triple Ultra AC-2s. At least those are backed by 2 ER large lasers, so you do get some firepower. Ultra AC-2s, well, I guess you get range and rapid fire on them, but not much else. At closer range, you get 2 ER medium laser, one in the head and one in the left torso. And another big advantage of this design is that everything is tied to a targeting computer, so at least it's fairly accurate. Configuration D is your heavy missile support unit with 4 20-rack LRMs with 6 tons of reloads. This is a massive bombardment unit, and you even get a large pulse laser and medium pulse laser as backups. If I were a clan warrior, I'd likely be piloting a Configuration D Night Gear and be very happy. Configuration E is a pulse laser machine with 2 large pulse lasers and 6 medium pulse lasers. That's an awful lot. And you also have a 6-tube SRM and a 2 tons fed 6-tube ATM. I would have preferred 3 tons of ATM rounds, so you'd have 1 for each range, but it's, I guess, meant to be a laser boat anyways. Maybe they should have concentrated on the ATMs or concentrated on the SRM and not a little bit of boat. As typical, Configuration H is meant to be an heavy laser machine with a heavy large laser, but really the main weapon on it is a Gauss rifle and an Ultra AC-10, giving you a rather massive punch. For more protection, you do get an ECM, which is pretty useful, especially in Jihad era fighting, and a medium pulse laser just as a little backup. And that's when the Homeworld clans decided that the Inner Sphere clans were not wanted around anymore. We can probably blame the Society for a lot of that as well. Society people are weird, and I'm not sure I'm a huge fan of them, even though, let's not get into it. By 3076, there was the whole War of Reaving going on, and Ironwold Gamma Complex, where the Night Gear was being built, was completely destroyed. That means that the machine was in production for something around 24 years before the Jade Falcons were kicked off their own turf. It's not a very long time, but a lot of them were built. A lot of them were kept in fairly decent working order as well. And unlike things like the Warhawk, the Jade Falcon started rebuilding factories for them. And by 3144, there was a full facility on Alinea where production of new Night Gears were coming out, and the design was going to stay around from then on. We do have a few Geode variants which we can talk about right before, though, with Configuration F, which is a Bird Hunter using a Hyper Assault Gauss 20 and an Hyper Assault Gauss 30 with 18 and 16 shots of each. Everything is linked on a targeting computer, so you're actually going to be able to hit whatever birds you're shooting at. For close range, you get 2 ER medium lasers, which might not sound like a lot, but this is meant to support things like glass spiders and Rifleman 3Cs at taking out VTOLs and aerospace fighters. Configuration Extreme uses a pair of rotary AC-5 and a pair of 10-rack LRMs for long-range support. You're going to get a very nice amount of lead up in the air with that, combined with fairly accurate long-range missiles. You get a micropulse laser in the head to defend against infantry, I guess, but the ammo bins are protected by either case or even case 2 in case of the, I think it's the Streak 10 ammos that are in the center torso, protected by that case 2. So here are the 2 most recent configuration. Thanks to our various contacts in the clans, we've managed to get the details on them. Configuration G takes advantage of some modern technology, with each arm having a capacitor-powered ERPPC and LB5X autocannon, kind of reminiscent of the Rifleman in a way. It also serves as an incendiary mech using 3 ER flamers, 1 in each side torso and 1 in the end, and it pretends that 16 double heat sinks is enough for a pair of capacitor-powered ERPPCs. It's not a bad design. It really is another version of that Bird Hunter setup. I'm just not sure it is 100% efficient. Configuration T is actually pretty awesome in my opinion. You've got that paired ERPPC in one arm and an LB20X in the other arm, which makes it a very nice siege breaker. This is backed by 3 medium pulse lasers and 17 double heat sinks, which means you do have to be a little bit careful when you start shooting everything because you are going to run hot, but it's not that terrible. For about 20 million Fox cred, you can get an Night Gear with an interesting design, and then you spend a little bit more and you get the different configuration pods for usage. Even getting some of those pods, or most of those pods nowadays, not that difficult. None of them are super advanced clan weapons, and you can likely fit various inner sphere weapons in if you've got a little bit of time and a little bit of patience. Compared to the Mad Cat and the Mad Cat Mark IV, which are still the premium Omnimechs used at 75 ton, it's a thing that's actually around, and I believe that Jade Falcon sub-factions and Jade Falcon splinter groups might search for ways of financing themselves at this point, and selling a simpler design like this one might very well be the solution. It is a mech that we've been buying in decent amounts on our side for the Home Guard and for the regular forces of the Flanagan Highwaymen, and some of them have also gone into the hands of our more traditional Oregon troops, the Royal Guard having a few of them now in service. So I hope you guys have a very nice rest of your day. I thank you very much for listening to me for so long, and I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.